Welcome back, Crypto Bros. It's Robert Barry here. I want to talk to you about the news that just came out today. There was a meeting supposed to happen today. The SEC was going to meet to discuss unveiling some rules regarding the crypto market. This was announced some time ago, and we were expecting something to happen here today. And then kind of last minute, this meeting was canceled. Is this bullish or bearish? That's the big question people are asking. I'll tell you my view on this. And in general, when I see things happen in government, I'll tell you, I think a lot of it is theater. Nothing but theater, people. So you can't really look at the surface headlines and really get a sense of what's going on. So I'm not going to pretend to know exactly what's going on. But here is my take. And this is a take that a lot of people have as well. And I saw this going into this Friday's meeting. And it's the following: because the Clarity Act has been delayed again and again and again, the SEC, which a lot of the people in the SEC that are going to be making these rules, they are Republicans, okay, or elected by Republicans. They have Republican leanings. And we know the current administration is trying to push through crypto. We saw that even prior to the presidential election that did elect Donald Trump. And so with the Clarity Act getting kicked down the road yet again, the SEC basically posturing saying, okay, if you guys are not going to create rules by the typical legislative route, what we're going to do is we're going to step in and bring some certainty to this market. We're going to propose rules, and hopefully the market will kind of take off from there, and crypto businesses will be able to build with a little more confidence. And the pushback on that, and I'm going to go right to Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth Warren has talked about her anti-crypto army for years and years and years. And I think it's kind of, well, funny and sad, I guess I would say, that the rhetoric that she pushes when you see reporters interviewing her about this is effectively she's trying to make it sound like crypto is bad for the everyday regular Joe. Nothing could be further from the truth. Elizabeth Warren does not have the everyday Joe in mind when she's spewing this rhetoric. We can even look at the following. So, you know, the thing she says lately is about the fact that Donald Trump issued this Trump coin soon after, or around the time of his inauguration. And I'll be honest, I think it was a disaster for the market in general. I wish it wouldn't have happened because now it's being used as leverage to push back against the Clarity Act, right? I grant you this. Now, of course, Donald Trump himself did not dream up the Trump coin. I mean, he's a bit old, you guys. It's certain that there was some advisor he has. It may have even been his son, who is very much into crypto, that advised him. My guess is advised him to show his willingness to be a part of the crypto ecosystem by issuing this coin, and you know, maybe he would get more crypto bros on his side. That's my guess of the thinking here. But of course, Donald Trump, at the end of the day, he did give the green light. So as far as I'm concerned, the buck stops with him. And I wish this never would have happened. It's kind of a disaster for marketing and PR. But let's get back to Elizabeth Warren. She talks about this Trump coin and how Trump can scam people, make money. And, you know, I definitely agree that if this could be used by anybody as kind of a lobbying technique, that maybe if you bought enough Trump coin, that would allow you to gain Donald Trump's ear. I mean, I'm not saying that necessarily happened. It probably hasn't, but that's an obvious take, I would say. So Elizabeth Warren does not want this Clarity Act to pass. So if it doesn't pass, you guys, here's the thing. Then there's no regulations. Then Donald Trump could issue another Trump coin, right? We're in the Wild West still. There's basically no rules other than what we saw from the Genius Act, and that has to do mostly with stable coins. So if you even think just a little bit about Elizabeth Warren's argument, it makes zero sense. It's simply rhetoric. She's preying on the fact that the vast majority of people know nothing about crypto, and there's a large portion of the population that basically has fangs out for Donald Trump, and anything that goes wrong is Donald Trump's fault. So if she can tie him to this, she will, to fight it and get rid of it. Okay, with that said, let's get back to whether this is bearish or bullish. I'm going to say bullish. I think it's totally bullish, you guys. I think the fact that they were going to have this meeting was posturing to kind of push some of the senators that are not coming to the table to push through the Clarity Act, to show them that, hey, we're going to go ahead and make some rules and move forward with crypto. Now, of course, if the SEC makes rules, they're much more easy to claw back in the future compared to the normal legislative process that should be enacted through the Senate. P.S. If the Clarity Act is a little bit new to you, the Clarity Act already passed the House with flying bipartisan colors, if we might say. Crypto is one of those bipartisan topics, I guess you would say, in Congress these days. Everything is hyper partisan. In the House, lots of Democrats voted to pass this thing. Okay, it's getting held up in the Senate. So I think what happened is there's been deal making going on in the back end, and something has happened that effectively maybe some senators have flipped and said, okay, we will go ahead and support this as long as the SEC doesn't step in and make some prior rules, right? Sort of front running, if you will, the legislative process. That is my take on this. I don't put a high probability on my take, but I think that's what's going on. Remember, what you see in the news, what these Congress people are saying in front of journalists, it's theater, you guys. The vast majority of it's theater. You can think about this in almost any part of the legislative process. It's funny if you watch some of the cameras that get into the Senate, into the House, and the vitriol spewed from one side to the other, and then, you know, kind of when the cameras are sort of off, if you will, the typical cameras, and then you see people with phones out and they're recording this. You see these people come across the aisle and they're laughing and chumming it up with each other. It's kind of nuts. Crypto is a technology that can help the common man. I've talked about this before in other videos that, for example, some of the ways that banks make money, right, with lending, those things are now possibly accessible to the everyday person. Even with small amounts of capital, you can pool that capital together, and you can do the same thing that banks do, and they are regulated by certain laws. And of course, getting deeper into the weeds just for a moment, the blockchain, the way this is kind of guaranteed is through mathematics. And so there's a mathematical guarantee. You can do things like loan out money to other people, and you can earn interest on that. Lots of other things involved in this technology. But overall, I'm going to go ahead and say that the SEC meeting canceled today on Friday, August 14th. It's bullish, you guys. Let me remind you again, go ahead and take some action today. Please hit the subscribe button. And also, I want you to take action for your own financial future. Sign up with Coinbase. Okay? Sign up with Coinbase, or if it's available to you, sign up with Binance. They're the two biggest centralized exchanges in the world. They're very well regulated, and I feel like you're going to be pretty safe there. You don't even have to buy crypto. Just sign up. Get ready for what's about to come. Okay? I'll see you next time.